Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Kayla and welcome. So in today's video, I'm going to show y'all how I've been batch prepping and freezing my chia puddings. And this has been a total game changer anytime I need a quick grab and go healthy breakfast, especially on those weeks that I haven't had time to do my regular meal preps. Now I've always been a big fan of chia pudding and meal prepping it in advance for the week, but the idea of batch prepping and freezing it weeks in advance was not my idea. I was actually inspired by a video from Allergy's channel. She's amazing, by the way. If you don't follow her, go follow her. I'll leave her channel linked for y'all below. But she did a video on it and I watched it probably like a year ago and I started doing it and it's just genius. So I figured I'd get on here and share my twist on how I've been batch prepping and freezing my chia puddings, and then also share some of my favorite flavor combinations that I've been enjoying recently. And from my experience, the chia pudding stays good in the freezer for about 3 to 4 weeks. You just want to make sure that you thaw it out in the fridge the night before. And if it's not fully thawed out by the morning, you can just let it sit at room temperature for about 15 minutes and it should fully thaw out. And as always, all of today's recipes will be listed over on my blog, which I will have linked for y'all in the description box below, where you can print off all the recipes, and I've listed the full calorie content and macro content for each chia pudding recipe. So anyway, let's head to the kitchen and get started. So the first thing is using freezer safe storage containers that work for you. Now I prefer glass containers. You can do something like these pint-sized mason jars, but I will say these are not very stackable. So if you want stackable glass jars, these WEC jars are a great option. I like to do the larger half-liter size if I'm doing a full-sized meal, like for breakfast, and then I'll use the quarter-sized ones for like a dessert or a snack-sized chia pudding. And of course, you can always just use regular glass meal prep containers like I use in all of my meal prep videos. These are stackable as well, and I'm going to leave the links for all of these containers in the description box below. Now it's important to master the base chia pudding recipe first, and then that way you can start having fun with it and creating your own flavor combinations. But for the base recipe, of course, you're going to need chia seeds, your favorite type of milk. I'm using unsweetened almond milk. Any type of sweetener. With chia pudding, I like to use pure maple syrup, vanilla extract, and then this is optional, but if you want to make it a high protein meal or snack, you can also add a scoop of your favorite protein powder. For the base chia pudding recipe, you're going to need 3 tablespoons of whole chia seeds, and I love including chia seeds into my diet a few times a week because not only are they a great source of fiber, which of course helps to keep you regular, but they're also highly nutritious. All right, now let's add 3/4 to 1 cup of the milk, depending on how thick you want the consistency to be, 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. And by the way, the reason I like to prep these in individual containers is because it makes it super easy to defrost them one at a time. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and just mix that all up until the seeds are fully incorporated into the milk. And I'm going to add 1 scoop of the protein powder to one of the chia puddings, and you will notice a little bit of clumping with the powder in the beginning, but that's okay because as it soaks, it's eventually going to dissolve. So now you just want to let that sit for about 15 minutes to let it thicken up, then give it 1 more stir, and now we can add our toppings. You can use fresh or frozen fruit. Just make sure that you're using fruit that'll still taste good after you freeze it and defrost it. From my experience, that includes any type of berry, sliced bananas, mango, pineapple, kiwi, and even cherries. For one of the chia puddings, I'm going to add fresh strawberries and sliced banana. And then for the other one, I'm going to add frozen mango and frozen raspberries. And feel free to fill it all the way to the top with the fruit because that's just going to leave less room for air, which is going to help to keep it fresher for longer. I'm also adding some unsweetened shredded coconut. And now let's place the lids on top, secure the clamps to keep it sealed, and these are ready to go in the freezer. Okay, now that you know the base chia pudding recipe, let's have a little bit of fun and make some different flavor combinations. These are some of the flavors that I've been enjoying recently. Starting off with my OG recipe that I've been making for years, and that is my almond butter and strawberry jam chia pudding, and this one is one of my all-time favorites. So you'll want to start with the base chia pudding recipe, which is of course 3 tablespoons of chia seeds, 3/4 cups of milk, 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Give that a good mix, and I like mixing it with either a fork or a small whisk. And I want to make this one a high protein meal, so I'm going to add in a scoop of my collagen protein powder, give it a good mix, and then let that sit for about 15 minutes to thicken up. And while we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and make a simple strawberry jam. In a small saucepan over medium heat, I'm adding 1 heaping cup of frozen strawberries that I've already let thaw out for about 30 minutes. And as that's heating through, just take a spatula or a potato masher and start to break up the strawberries. I like to break them up pretty well, but I also like to have a few little chunks of strawberries in there too. All right, once that's broken down, add in 1 tablespoon of maple syrup and half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Let that simmer for about 1 to 2 more minutes and then remove it from the stovetop. Once it's cooled off a little bit, you can transfer it to any sort of glass container. And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and prep the blueberry jam as well, because I'll be using that in one of the other chia pudding recipes. So it's pretty much the same process. I'm adding in 1.5 cups of frozen blueberries that I've already thawed out. Just let that simmer and break it up to whatever consistency you like. Add in the maple syrup and vanilla extract. And by the way, if you want to thin out the consistency, feel free to add in about 1/4 cup of water. And going back to the chia pudding, once it's thickened, make sure you stir it one more time, and then you can begin to add your toppings, starting with some of the strawberry jam that we just made, some fresh strawberry slices, and about a tablespoon of almond butter. I also like to add some chopped walnuts over top, but I'm gonna wait to add those whenever I'm ready to serve it, because in my experience, nuts and seeds do not freeze well, so you'll wanna add those fresh. Let's go ahead and place the lid on top and make sure it's secured, and this one's ready to go. It'll last you in the fridge for up to a week, and in the freezer for up to 3 to 4 weeks. Next up, I'm sharing my energizing blueberry matcha chia pudding, and this one is perfect for breakfast because, as the name states, it's very energizing thanks to the natural caffeine content in the matcha powder. So you'll start with the base chia pudding recipe, and then add in 1/2 to 1 teaspoon of matcha powder. And matcha is known for its high antioxidant content, and some studies have even shown that it may help to protect the health of your liver. Mix that in and let it thicken up for about 15 minutes. Once it's thickened up, we can add our toppings, starting with some of the homemade blueberry jam we made earlier, some frozen blueberries, and I like to load it up with the berries to get in all that extra vitamin C first thing in the morning. And then lastly, top it off with some unsweetened shredded coconut. And this one is ready to go in the freezer for a quick grab and go healthy breakfast option. Just don't forget to defrost it overnight in the fridge. This next one is my hormone supporting chocolate chip banana bread chia pudding. And I just started making this one a couple months ago, but I am loving it. Again, start with the base chia pudding recipe, and then I'm making a little concoction off to the side, which includes 1/2 of a mashed banana, 1/2 a teaspoon of ashwagandha powder. You can also use maca powder, 1/2 a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, and a pinch of sea salt. And I'm just mixing that concoction into the chia pudding mixture. But ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb that can be very beneficial in supporting the health of your adrenal glands by helping to manage your body's stress response. And most people find that it also gives them a boost of energy without being too stimulating. To top it off, let's add some sliced bananas, dark chocolate chips, and a sprinkle of cinnamon. This one has quickly become one of my top 5 favorite chia pudding recipes. And lastly, in terms of breakfast meal prep, I've been enjoying this berry beet superfood chia pudding, and I've been saying this for the longest, but beets are such an underrated superfood. They have so many health benefits. They're a good source of fiber. They contain a good amount of folate, but the reason I like to sneak these in for breakfast is because of their naturally occurring nitrates, which have shown to improve the efficiency of your mitochondria, which is responsible for producing energy in your cells. So in layman's terms, it can help to improve energy levels and endurance. So to start this one out, in a blender, I'm adding 1/3 to 1/2 of a beet, depending on how large it is, 4 strawberries, 3/4 cups of almond milk, 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, and 1/2 a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Blend it all up until it's extra smooth, and then add that to your glass container with 3 tablespoons of chia seeds. Give it a good mix, let that thicken up for 15 minutes. And for my toppings, I'm adding 1/4 cup of coconut yogurt, along with some frozen raspberries and shredded coconut. And this one is ready to go. Now you can also make chia pudding as a dessert or a snack. So before I end this video, let me share a couple of dessert chia puddings that I've been loving lately. The first one is my brownie batter chia pudding. You'll need 1 tablespoon of cacao or cocoa powder, half a cup of almond milk, and I like to add just a splash of the milk first and then mix it with the cacao powder. Add in 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and because it's a dessert, I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. Mix that all up and then add in the rest of the milk. Mix it again until it's fully combined. And this one is obviously perfect if you're craving something chocolatey. And for the other one, I'm making my cinnamon roll chia pudding, starting with 1/4 cup of coconut yogurt, half a cup of milk, but start with just a splash first to mix it in with the yogurt, 2 teaspoons of maple syrup, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. Mix it all up and then add in the rest of the milk and mix it again. By the way, you can also use Greek yogurt, but I do find that it makes this recipe just a little too tangy for my preference, especially since it's a dessert. After about 15 minutes, once they've thickened, I'm gonna give them one more stir and then place them in the freezer. And whenever you're ready to serve it and you've already defrosted it, the secret to making these taste so good, in my opinion, is by topping it off with these grain-free Celiac cookies. Oh my goodness, y'all, it really takes these to the next level. For the brownie batter one, I'm adding 2 of the Mexican wedding cookies along with some chocolate chips. And for the cinnamon roll, I'm adding 2 of the Mexican shortbread cookies, which kind of taste like snickerdoodle cookies to me. But these little dessert-sized chia puddings will save the day anytime you're craving something sweet or chocolatey. And now you have backup healthy breakfast and snack options for those weeks that you haven't had time to meal prep. Just simply store them in the freezer for up to 3 to 4 weeks, and whenever you need one, simply place it in the fridge to defrost overnight. And don't forget, all of these recipes and their macros are listed over on my blog, and I'll have that linked for y'all in the description box below. But I want to thank Downshiftology for this idea of batch prepping and freezing chia pudding in advance, because it's really been a game changer with my weekly meal prep routine. Well, all right, y'all, that is it for today's video. How I've been batch prepping and freezing my chia puddings weeks in advance for a quick grab and go healthy breakfast option. And I want to thank Downshiftology for inspiring this video. Like I said, I'm going to leave her channel linked for y'all below. Of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want me to make more meal prep videos like this, be sure to give this video a thumbs up to let me know. Comment below. And don't forget, if you make any of my recipes or any of my healthy meal preps, you can tag me over on Instagram and I will reshare that on my stories. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you enjoy this type of content, healthy recipes, healthy meal preps, all that good stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. But that's it for today. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.